slide first, yeah, for me to introduce to everyone the context for today's session here. Okay, are you able to see the slide? Is the slide clear? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So thank you very much, Payboon, for your feedback. Yeah, thank you very much, Shannon, as well. So let's start the session. Yeah. So this is the first virtual discourse session, as I mentioned just now. And this topic for today, it's on the three M's, the mindset, model, and marketing. Okay. So this will be a 1 hour session here. We have our panelists to give their comments, and later on we will open up to you to have your Q&A itself. Yeah. So a little bit background of who we are, of UOW Malaysia KDU, because a lot of people actually ask who we, are you the new kids on the block or something like that. So just let me take this opportunity to explain to the participants who we are here, and specifically for myself, I'm Dr. Brian, the head of business school, UOW Malaysia KDU. Yeah. So in UOW Malaysia KDU, we have in fact about 36 years of private higher education experience already. By then, it was named under KDU itself. Yeah, we have 4 campuses altogether: 2 in Klang Valley in Utropolis, Glen Mary, Shah Alam, as well as in Damansarajaya, and we have 2 more campuses up north in Penang, in Georgetown, as well as Batu Kawan. Yeah, and since end of the last 2 years, in end of last 2 years, we are now part of the UOW, or University of Wollongong Australia Global Network. Okay, and that gives us a lot of access into expertise of all UOW Global Network as well. So this is just a brief of who we are here. Next, I will move on to a brief of the session for today, so that we are all very clear and be very specific to what we want to talk about today. Literally, we are saying that the recent global economic slowdown and the COVID-19 issue has impacted many businesses, especially the SMEs here. Even though the Malaysian government has stepped up and announced several economic stimulus packages, it seems that the SMEs' voices are still yet to be heard in detail. Yeah. So therefore, this virtual discourse session is very much focusing on the survival tips for the SMEs through this 3M concept: mindset, model, and marketing. Just to make it very clear as well, we are not here to comment on the Malaysian government's economic stimulus package, but in fact, we want to know exactly how can SMEs move further, yeah, or move forward to survive on their own, besides what the government has supported them as well. Yeah. Okay. So let me just briefly introduce to you our panelists for today. The first panelist we have is Dr. Robert Bong, who is currently the CEO of Blue Ocean Global Network. In fact, he has more than 40 years of global experiences, experience, sorry. And he has also have served several key leadership positions in publicly listed and multinational companies around the world. Yeah. So Dr. Bong, would you like to say hello to everyone?
Hello and good morning, everybody.
Okay, thank you. The next speaker that we have is Mr. David Ho. He is currently the Program Director of Navigator Digital Academy, a certified trainer for media industry and subject matter expert in digital marketing. And he has trained quite a number of people in the sales, marketing, advertising, and media industry in several countries as well. David, would you like to say hello to everyone?
Hi, good morning, everyone. It's good to be here.
Okay, so thanks to both panelists. So later on, when you have any questions specifically to Dr. Robert Bong or Mr. David Ho, you can also send in through your Q&A session. Yeah. So let me just go through a bit of the issue that what we are facing now. Okay. So the coronavirus, as a timeline, as indicated by Al Jazeera earlier on, it was back late last year, and the first issue came back on the 11th of January this year, yeah, when China announces the first death itself. So you can see the timeline here as when the issue is becoming more serious, and in Malaysian context, we started to take action back in March 18 of 2020 when this MIER or MIR has indicated that there will be higher cases of this pandemic will happen in Malaysia, and therefore the Malaysian government has taken the initiative to curb the further expansion of the issue, and therefore the movement control order or MCO has been implemented since 18th of March 2020. Yeah, and we have gone through the third phase now, basically of the MCO, enhanced MCO, which is supposed to end by next week, hopefully. Yeah, by the 28th of April 2020. Yeah. So what exactly is the impact of this issue towards the economy itself? So let me just share with you something that I found from the Economist to talk about certain uh, key issues that may be indicated around the world. So let me just share with you this video. Around the world, economies have gone. Okay, sorry for the sound quality, yeah, since it's using WebEx here instead of the actual video that you can see. Nonetheless, this video is recorded, so later on you can view this video on our YouTube channel of KDU later on, yeah. Okay, so the key issue here is very clear to everybody. Yeah, the economic situation is not that great around the world, basically, and it is really making a lot of issue. Yeah, to not just globally but also in Malaysia. So let's take a look at what exactly happens in Malaysia that yeah. So based on the press statement by this Malaysian Institute of Economic Research or MIER on 24th of March, there are four key areas that are being highlighted by them. The first is in terms of the real GDP may shrink. Yeah. The second one is in terms of number of job losses. The third one is household incomes that will fall by 12%, which indicated also the possibility of sharp decline in consumer spending. So this was what has been announced by Mir back in 24th of March. And exactly what happens in the real market here, we know very clearly. The manufacturers are gloomy as reported by the Star itself. Yeah, the percentages of factories producing goods are getting lesser and lesser, especially when there is a chain reaction from the overseas suppliers. And Bank Negara Malaysia also announced the latest GDP forecast for 2020, GDP growth projected to be -2% to only 0.5%. Okay, and just 2 days ago, Focus Malaysia also came up with a news indicating that the retail industry to shrink by 5.5% this year, and this is very, very much affecting the SMEs specifically. Yeah. So the Malaysian government, in fact, has started to introduce certain economic stimulus packages uh, into 27th of February 2020, yeah, when it was announced by the then interim Prime Minister, Tun Dr. Mahathir Mohamad, where it covers about 20 billion ringgit of packages. Okay. The next 1 month later, the current Prime Minister Tan Sri Muhyiddin Yassin announced the first Malaysia tripartite economic stimulus package with that worth about 50 billion ringgit Malaysia. And 10 days later, he announced an additional tripartite economic stimulus package specifically catering for SMEs that worth about 10 billion ringgit Malaysia. Yeah. So this is generally the timeline of what happened in Malaysia in terms of the economic stimulus. Yeah. So again, like I said, the context for today's session is not really for us to look into the detail of this stimulus package, So the stimulus package is there to assist the SMEs, but what does the SMEs need to do on top of these stimulus packages, yeah, in order for you to survive specifically? Okay, and just to give everyone a context, the right context, as common context, that well, what do we mean by SME here? We refer to the definition by SME Association of Malaysia. Uh, this is the definition, yeah, as you can refer here. Okay, so like I said just now, basically the stimulus packages are there, right? But is it really sufficient for the SMEs to survive? Or besides the financial or the funding issues there, we also believe that there are certain things that can be used by the SMEs as per announced by the Malaysian government. But on top of that, in order to survive for SMEs, right? What else can they do? Yeah, so that's why today's session we look at the three things: mindset, uh, your model, your business model, as well as your marketing strategies. Yeah. So let me just invite our first panelist, Dr. Robert Bong, to share his view on the in this particular manners for SMEs to survive. Dr. Robert Bong, hand on over to you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Dr. Wong. Very good morning to everyone again. And thanks, Wollongong and KDU University for the invitation. And I hope you can hear me. Are we touching on mindset and model, these two topics? And I will first touch on a framework, a framing of my topic for the next 5 to 7 minutes. Hopefully, this framing of the topic will allow us to think about the issue, stimulate our thinking, and then there will be questions you can ask me in deeper or greater detail later on during the Q&A. So I like to talk about mindset first. The mindset change is a very difficult process. Not many people would like to change the mindset, and not many people can change the mindset easily. However, it is during this adversity, this time of, of trouble like coronavirus 19, it gives us an opportunity to very quickly change our mindset. So I first talk about mindset first. How is mindset so important to strategy? I will tell you a story that happened in Malaysia recent years that many of us may not be aware of. Now, we have a lot of those petty theft in Malaysia, people riding on motorbike and then snatch their handbag or the jewelry from the ladies, tourists particularly. So, of course, the public were angry, then the police were stepping up their actions and caught a lot of petty crime criminal. Then they have problem housing them. Because you put them into the prison, you need to build more prison. You need more time, more budget. It's not the right thing to do. More importantly, if you put the petty crime criminal into the prison, you are sending them to advanced school to train them to become more hardcore when they come out. So the recidivism rate, that means the percentage of the petty crime criminal who come out from the prison and enter the prison again with heavier and more serious crime, typically around the world is 30 to 50%. The challenging country will be 60 to 75%. So this is a problem. So what we needed to do then was to shift the perspective. When we just shift the perspective, we change the mindset. How did we change the mindset? Mindset, we just look at us, okay, instead of sending them to the prison, can we send them to the army camp? This is a real story, by the way. It's not my story. It's a program called Community Rehabilitation Program in Malaysia as of today. So the petty crime criminal was sent to the army camp along with the reform officers. So in the army camp, they were isolated from hardcore criminals. So they will be given a chance to reform themselves. We gave them a skill set, grow some high yield crops and sell them, and they earn a salary, by the way. By earning a salary, they can pay their family, they earn the respect back from the family. So economic gain, social, emotional gain, as well as social gain, because you do not have the the criminal coming out to the society and go back again. So this require a mindset change to cross between the conventional boundary created by our own mind. So your mindset, you must change that. So just to let you know, the program today actually have completed around about 13 to 15,000 inmates, which I do not know the latest figure now. About 12 to 13,000 already completed the program. You know, the recidivism rate for this program is 0.04% compared to the typical 30 to 50% or the worst case 75%. So you can see the importance of mindset change created opportunity to solve the problem creatively at a very high impact at a very low cost. So the mindset change is important. Now, the mindset, what kind of mindset you have, what kind of mindset change you can do, you can actually shape your strategy. Now, I want to come back to the business world. When you come back to the business world, let's talk about Apple's story. When Apple first came out with their iPhone, everybody laughed at them. How could Apple come up with an iPhone that they were never in the phone business before? But Apple has the ability to shift their mind and mindset change. Instead of competing with Nokia and BlackBerry then on the better design keypad, they went for a phone that without keypad, a total contrary to the convention. But they were not actually going after the senior executive. They're going after the women and the young people who never actually like to use smartphone. So then the rest of the story is history that you can tell how successful Apple is. So you can see mindset is very difficult to change, but adversity during this time, I will show you example later how easily we can change the mindset and how important it can change mindset. So once you change the mindset, it leads to the point that you now have ability to come up with strategy. Your strategy is dependent on your mindset. Now, the strategy, I already explained to you how Apple came out, but the strategy itself is just an idea, as a concept. How do you actually operationalize your strategy as an idea, as a concept, into a business? It's called a business model. Now, within the business model, you translate the strategy or the idea into three components. First one is a product platform. Second, the service platform. The third one is a delivery platform. Now, if you understand this, you can see, I'll give you an example. Even during coronavirus, you just work on these three platforms. They are not mutually exclusive, by the way. You create innovations at these three levels. Example, we talk about product platform or product platform innovation. Apple is one example I've already given. And Apple designed the product very, very differently based on UX, user experience. If you ask Apple, Apple say that design definition is actually the product. When you design the product, actually is a user experience that you're designing. You are designing the product. That's the reason why we like Apple so much, because it has got connection with us, because the user experience is part of the design, it's part of the product. So product innovation is one thing you can do. Now, the second one, the service innovation, service platform innovation, for example, like Microsoft Office. Microsoft Office has been around for the longest time since the start of the PC, personal computer. It has never changed much, it improved, but Microsoft share was languishing for the longest time with decades. Okay, decades of non and even declining. But the moment they changed the service platform, what is service platform? They changed to downloadable or disk drive installations to subscription model. When they change the subscription model, can you imagine today? Microsoft is one of the three companies that has reached a $1 trillion market cap. Let's imagine that. Just by changing the service innovation. Same product, but different service. Now I want to talk about another example of service platform, a budget airline. Budget airline, everybody uses the same aircraft, from Boeing or from Airbus, Rolls-Royce engine. but deliver service differently, pay per use or minimum amenity. Straight away, budget airline become a huge industry. Last but not least, I want to talk about delivery platform. Delivery platform is something that we'll talk about most during the coronavirus. Basically, the simplest way to describe delivery platform is that you move from offline to online. Everything you move from offline to online. Do you know that today the industry that's the most affected by coronavirus are the tourist industry? The tourist industry, you know what they do? Example, okay? You go to Africa, you used to go to Africa to the game park to look at the animal. Today, nobody goes there. So what do? They still do the run, morning run, afternoon run, evening run. They have live commentary, but you can log in online as if you are going through a game park. Same thing. You know what the other company that does it is the Lego. Lego does the same thing. Lego actually understand the pain of all the parents. They have to look after their children. We are not going to school. They have to work from home. How do you handle that? Lego created a Let's Play Together online program. That is very innovative. Now, many examples I can talk about. I can talk about a combination of product platform and delivery platform innovation. Taxi service. You can say, oh, taxi service I cannot do online. Because you know why? I depend on taxi. It's not like education, I can online program. Not correct. You know, today taxi, what they use for? They use taxi to deliver food. Taxi services, particularly in many countries like in Singapore, because the last leg of the logistic business, the delivery service has gone up 3 to 500%. Traditional logistic company cannot handle. Even Food Panda, Deliveroo cannot handle. They have to supplement with a fleet of taxi. Why? Taxi got nothing to do. So all these can happen because you shift your mindset. Your mindset tells you to shape the strategy. The strategy, you go into the three platform: product, service, and delivery. Suddenly you realize that all the government packages are good to have. But you yourself depend on how you can shift your mind to come up with a new mindset that shape the strategy. The strategy has innovation at three level: product, service, and delivery. Then you can still survive and even thrive during this coronavirus.
Yeah.
I will stop here and I'll hand it over to the next speaker.
Okay. So thank you, Dr. Robert Bong. I think you gave a very good insight to everyone in the first place, how important the mindset is supposed to be, besides what the government is there to support the SMEs, right? The ability to change the mindset is so important that they need to be resourceful, they need to be persevere through difficult times, right? Instead of just keep on harping saying the government is not helping them or it's not good enough, so might as well think of what is the blue ocean that they may want to tap into. Yeah, and I think Dr. Robert has also given a very good examples of focusing on the three platforms there: your product platforms, service platforms, and your delivery platforms, right? And I particularly like the examples of the tourism industry, because everybody knows that the tourism industry is one of the most affected ones. Yeah, because when you can't travel, there's no tourism, basically. And when you're able to use technology to change the way we run tourism itself, you give people a virtual experience. And it brought me back into what we used to there's this game called Second Life. Yeah, Second Life. Yeah, where you want to be somebody else in a different world itself, right? And people are making income in the Second Life application itself, right? So why don't the SMEs think from a different angle besides just the physical funding from the government or support from the government, right? Okay, so let's from that we think about how the technology, how digital marketing specifically, yeah, will be able to assist perhaps the SMEs to survive better. Yeah, so I'll pass this on to David.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you, Dr. Brian, and thank you, Dr. Bong. Okay, So I just like to share, two stories with you all. I think the first story it's about my business story. So I run a training provider company. So I provide live training classes, and obviously, I have been this COVID-19 has affected my business. So as an entrepreneur myself, I have to change my mindset, right? So one of the mindset that I have is that I adopt its entrepreneurial mindset. And so let's talk about entrepreneurial mindset. So as an entrepreneur for 7 years, one of the things that I learned in my journey is that you need to be resilient, right? You need to be creative. You need to be innovative. So as Dr. Bong was mentioning about the three platforms, this is the very core of the business model that we need to innovate. So if I have been conducting live classes in my training sessions, I need to have a mindset shift and now convert my platform, my product into what I call an online classes, right? So this is the one thing that we need to do because today we talk about the internet. Internet can actually expand the market. Yeah, can expand the market. So what is marketing? So marketing is basically bringing in marketing qualified leads for your business. So we call it the term MQL, marketing qualified leads. Many times, a lot of SMEs are just focusing on their sales leads, right? Without doing marketing. So in fundamentally, marketing is all about building the brand for your product. In today's world, people buy into brands. People don't buy into a product. So in this current situation right now, I think you can see. I'd like to show you a slide with Dr. Brian. Can you show my slides? Can you
Yes.
start showing my slide?
Yes, sir. Hold on, please. Yeah.
Okay. So I just want to share with you the current potential market, or what I call the international market, that points at opportunity for a lot of SMEs in Malaysia, right? As I mentioned just now, marketing is all about bringing you your leads, your business leads to your business. But in order to get those leads, you need to do marketing. So you need to do branding, you need to do product innovation, right? You need to make sure that you have the right service platform and also the delivery platform. And with the internet, even small companies can even reach throughout the world, can reach customers throughout the world. Yeah. And move on to the next slide.
David, I think the participants are commenting that there's a lot of echoes and noise from your end. Is
Oh,
there
is it?
any way that you can, yeah,
How's it like now? Is it better?
yeah, better. Okay, it's better now.
Okay. So much for the airport. Okay. Okay. As I mentioned just now, with the internet, even the small companies today can reach the world. They can expand their current market because currently, right now, I think all of you are experiencing that the domestic market is in the decline. The domestic market consumption is on decline. And the thing is that you need to look out, right? Having this mindset change to look from local to global. I think this is the key thing of the mindset shift. And then once we think global for our business, we got to start to look at all the three platforms, right? The product platforms, the service platforms, and also the delivery platform as mentioned by Dr. Bong. And I just want to share with you very quickly 2 slides to show you the potential of the international market. Can you move on to the next slide, please? Yeah. So if you look at as of January 2020, which is a couple of months ago, you can see that the internet penetration by the region across the continents is high, right? With exception for Eastern Africa. But even that is a double-digit penetration, right? And if you move on to the next 2 slides, I want to show you the potential of e-commerce. And today, I believe that all of us use e-commerce, right? To buy even our groceries. Just about a couple of weeks back, my wife just bought mushrooms from e-commerce. Never thought of that mind, right? So if you look in terms of the next slide, yeah, the next slide, e-commerce. Yeah, next one. Okay, if you look at the global, let's look at the global e-commerce activity. The slide before, right? Okay. If you look at the global e-commerce activity itself, a lot of people are actually searching for your products and services. Even if you're not on the internet, they are probably, searching your competitors' product and services to buy from the internet. So it's very important that today we need to have an online presence for our product, for our service, and our delivery. Yeah. And move on to the next 2 slides. So likewise for Malaysian, right? Okay, still on this slide. So what is the value of e-commerce for B2C market in Malaysia? It's US 4 billion. So even if you don't think about the global market, the international market, think Malaysia. There's a lot of untapped business opportunity in Malaysia itself on the e-commerce platform. 4 billion US. That's what the Malaysians spent on last year, right? The whole of 2019. They spent at least 4 billion US dollars, right? And if you look at the mobile share of, which is a far right, mobile share of B2C e-commerce, the share of transaction is 46%. So the next thing that you need to think is that, one, you need to think e-commerce so that you can deliver your products and services. Number 2 is that you got to think mobile, because everyone has mobile phones, and they will, in fact, 95% of website visits comes from mobile. Yeah, and I'm going to show you the last slide, and I'm going to end with another story. So what does Malaysians spend on e-commerce? Interestingly, besides travel, of course, travel is being impacted by the COVID-19 pandemic. If you look at even for furniture and appliances, I think many SMEs into this sector, furniture and appliances, they spend about US 632 million, right, on furniture and appliance. And if you look at food, right, and personal care, 588 million. And I think this year, the figure will go up, right? I think the amount of people ordering Grab food, Food Panda just increases, right? So if you look at this today, the COVID-19 pandemic has actually forced people to rely more on the internet. I really hope that the internet is going to be there. Because if without internet, I don't know how I can survive through this COVID-19. So just let me recap very quickly. First thing, think global. Secondly, think e-commerce. Thirdly, think mobile. And I'm going to end this, this sharing with a story. So there was one. Just about last week. There was someone who actually runs a factory to produce ball bearing. So he asked me, how could I actually go into e-commerce? So I said to him, I was thinking about his question, because how do you get a business that manufacture ball bearing into e-commerce? So I haven't thought about it, and I asked him this, right? I say, you could actually adopt the business model like Google. So he asked me, what do you mean? I say, Google does not produce anything. They do not produce content, but curates content. Yeah. And the thing is this, I say, how long have you been in the business? He says, I've been in business for 40 years. And I said, fantastic. So it means that you know every supplier in the world who manufacture ball bearing, and you also know every buyers of ball bearing in the world. So you have this network connection, right? And you can change your business model. I mean, I would say change your business model entirely, but extend your business model to have another service platform like Google. So what you can do is that you can turn your business model to be like Grab, for example, where you bring people together from the supplier and the buyers. Yeah. And the things that what you can do is that you can manage the logistics because you are in the business of manufacturing and doing export, and you can arrange all the logistics. So I think with that, his take home message from me was that we need to have a mindset shift because he finds it very difficult doing something that he's not used to. Secondly, things that he needs to be innovative and have a what I call an open mind to think about how we can extend a new platform for his business. So with that, I'd like to pass this time back to Dr. Brian for question and answers.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, David. Yeah. So let me just recap what David has talked about. Basically, the three key things that he highlighted literally is about think global, think e-commerce, and think mobile, right, David?
That's right.
Yeah. And another point I think he has highlighted earlier on was how can an SME change the way they think, the mindset change will literally change the way the model becomes as well. Yeah. So he actually gave the example of curating contents instead of as usual that the manufacturers produce product itself, right? And this is also ties back to what we always talk about. What exactly is the industry you are in, basically? Yeah. If I give a very simple example to everyone here, we always think that AirAsia is in the industry of transportation, right? In the airline business, basically. So now everything is put on hold in terms of traveling, and where else can you sell your air tickets, right? Your air ticket seats, basically. And you can see globally a lot of airlines is almost crippling down. Yeah, and some are even talking about they can't survive through this situation. In fact, what exactly happens by AirAsia was that since last year, they started to see the change, the impact of this travel industry. They have started to move themselves away from a traditional airline business, but into technology business itself. Yeah, so now you will see AirAsia is no longer just selling their own tickets, but they also sell other airlines tickets, which is very unconventional way of dealing with airline business itself. Yeah. So before I move on to the Q&A session, I have a request from a participant here to share again the definition of SME. So just allow me to share with everyone again here definition of SME according to the SME Association of Malaysia here. Yeah. So the definition split two categories. The first one is for manufacturing. If it's a small enterprise for manufacturing, literally we're talking about sales turnover from 300,000 ringgit to less than 15 million ringgit, or employees from 5 to less than 75 employees. While a medium-sized manufacturing facility usually have a sales turnover of about 15 to 50 million ringgit and employees of not exceeding 200. Yeah. While for the services and other sectors category, the small enterprise literally defined as those with sales turnover of 300,000 ringgit to 3 million ringgit, or employees of not more than 30 people. while the medium enterprise is with a sales turnover of 3 million to 20 million ringgit, with an employee size of less than 75 people. Yeah. So this is the definition used by SMEs, that what we are defining here itself. Okay. Yeah. So now I would like to open to the floor. If you have any questions for our panelists, please indicate here so that we can address to you. Otherwise, we will keep on talking. Yeah, as long as there's any questions here, we will take on to that question. Okay. So yes. Yeah. We have a request here for this copy of the slides. Yes, it will be available through this recording later on, which we will share on YouTube. So just follow our YouTube channel in UOW KDU. Yeah, after today, probably by tomorrow, we will upload the video. Okay. Any other questions? Please list down your question for our panelists here, and they'll be happy to share with you. Yeah, if you need any advice on how do you change your business model, perhaps you may say so as well. Okay. So coming back to what we have discussed today, right, Dr. Bong and David. So when we talk about mindset specifically, yeah, we understand that it's important, yeah, for the SMEs owners to have the right mindset. But the first thing that come into mind is about funding first. Yeah, I can't even manage my cash flow in the next few months. What am I going to think about my mindset itself? So what is your take on this?
No, who do you want us to answer?
Yeah,
No, Dr. Bong, please,
yeah,
please
anyone.
go first.
Yeah,
Okay, I think your questions is a good question to clarify. What when you talk about mindset, okay, mindset is not about there's a longer term mindset that people usually think about is your like your company operating procedures or your culture of the corporate. We are not talking about mindset is actually about how you perceive the world. So that is important. It can be applicable in a personal level, at a personal level, at a company level, at a country level. It's how you perceive the world, the external world, and that affect how you then translate them into your action, which is your strategy. So usually mindset is shaped a lot by our upbringing. Some people tend to be more inward looking, some people tend to be more outward looking, some people tend to be more optimistic, some people tend to be more flexible, all kinds of mindset that is upbringing. But that's the reason I say that it is very hard to change a mindset ordinarily given the daily life. But it is extremely easy to change the mindset when you have fire on your back, when you have coronavirus crisis. Because when you come to survivor, you need to change the way you work, the way you deliver your services, and that require a change of mindset to how to see how you work differently, how you come up with a strategy differently. Without changing your mindset, you're still thinking about the same thing. So the only solution you have is that you look at the government grants and the incentive, and usually is never meant to be enough.
right. I guess your explanation there is like, someone said that they cannot run, right? They cannot run fast, but when they are chased by a tiger, for example, suddenly they can run very fast. Right. So when you're in a situation where you are forced to change, probably this is a good chance for you, right, to change your mindset.
To change the way you see the world, to change the world, therefore you act.
Right.
That is about the mindset. Now,
Okay.
how do you act differently? You have to change your mind.
Okay. Great. So I have a question here from uh, attendee here. Probably is cater for David here. How crucial is writing a marketing plan at this moment? As I realize, a lot of SMEs don't have one. Yeah.
Okay, that's a very good question. Is it from Peter?
Yeah,
Peter.
but yeah. So you may want to address this
Yeah.
question.
Yeah. Okay. I think it's very important. There's two types of marketing plan. One is the annual marketing plan, and the other one is basically a 90 days marketing plan. And obviously today, a lot of businesses like yourself has been impacted. There's no way that you can do a 12 months annual plan, right? So you need to do a 90 days marketing plan. And so this marketing plan consists of how you do your branding, how you do your awareness of your product and services, and number three, and also the investment into the three platforms that Dr. Bongs was sharing with us just now. Yeah. So it's very critical right now that we need to go through this 90 days, what I call digital marketing transformation. So in any transformation, there's always a mindset shift, right? So what I did was that because I run my own business, I've been doing a lot of marketing, 90 days marketing. So I start to build up, my brand. I use a lot of, online tools. I use a lot of market automation. I even invested in an expensive iMac computer to do video production.
Mm.
Because one of the key thing about marketing that people, the format, the content format that people like is video. So today, the fastest way is to do video. Right. And the second thing I did was that I was thinking, how can I fund my marketing plan? How can I fund my marketing plan? So I look at the measures that government has provided, and I think I have the latest one, which what I'll do is that I will send it to Dr. Brian, and then Brian can actually put it up on your website, right? And one of the key things that I see is the measure that the government has given is the financial facilities. So, like for example, there's a special relief facilities that the government is giving, which is a maximum financing of $1 million per SMEs. Yeah. So I was thinking that if you to use this financing, you will want to use this money to invest in your digital transformation. All right. So digital transformation in areas of your platforms, your product platforms, service platforms, delivery. One more investment that you need to do is that even though the government has mentioned, says that you no longer need to contribute to HRDF levy anymore, but human capital is a very key thing, because if you change your mindset as a business owner and the rest of the employees don't change their mindset, it's going to be disastrous.
Mm.
So my suggestion is that marketing plan is important. Do a 90 days marketing plan, get fundings from the government with the facilities that they're given, invest in the people, get them to change the mindset, remodel your business in the product, service, and delivery platform, and then then execute your marketing plan.
Right.
Okay. Sorry for the long answer to your short question, Peter.
Yeah. So just to reiterate what David has talked about just now, right? In fact, this was announced in the first economic stimulus package back on the 27th of February 2020 by the then interim Prime Minister Tun Dr. Mahathir Mohamad, where among the funds that allocated was to provide 100 million ringgit to help businesses to upgrade the skills of its workers. Yeah, but of course, this is only for it seems like it's only for selected sectors that covers retail, hospitality, tourism, E&E, as well as automotive manufacturing. Yeah, and if you are in the manufacturing sector, there is also additional of 50 million ringgit to provide for finance short-term courses. Yeah, to finance your short-term courses, specifically into the digital knowledge itself. Yeah, so if you are in these sectors, do check out these Prime Minister's Office department website to get more detail on this funding itself. Yeah, and of course, there are a lot of training available given by Magic or MDAC. There are also a lot of support given by them as well for startups as well as SMEs. You also may want to look into their websites and try to see what you can get from them as supporting tools for you. Yeah. And I think it's also very interesting when David talked about a 9 days plan, right? You were talking about 9 days plan,
90,
90 days,
90,
yeah, 90 days plan. So that's
3
about
months.
3 months plan, yeah. In the business school, we're always being taught by lecturers. You have to do a midterm plan, long-term plan, right? And the midterm plan is like 3 years. Your long-term plan is 5 years. But in this modern business era now, probably it's no longer valid, right? Yeah, we do need a plan. Yeah, but as the market changes so quickly, literally, it's quite not that useful anymore for you to have such a long-term plan. It may give you some guide, right? But it doesn't really work that way anymore. And I think importantly is that the plan has to be flexible enough for the business owners to actually change the model as and when required. Yeah. Uh, if you have any more questions, please list down here, and we will try to cater to your questions as much as we can. Okay, there's a question here from business and society point of view. How should the existing law be measured to protect and safeguard those who suffer from mental disturbance during the lockdown? I'm not so sure whether any of you have the right authority to answer this. If you have any
No,
feedback, you can say so. It's a law question, basically. Yeah.
What was the question again? Can you say that again?
Okay, how should the existing law be measured to protect and safeguard those who suffer from mental disturbance during the lockdown?
Okay. What do you mean by measuring the law? Law is
Uh,
a legislation that
yeah,
enforce something or arbitrate something, but it's not meant to be measured.
okay.
What? Yes. Perhaps
Uh,
maybe yeah.
yeah, perhaps the person who asked these questions, you may want to make it clearer for our panelists to answer you. There's another question here. Are Malaysian SMEs mindset ready for the sudden change due to the current situation? Example, how resourceful are they in terms of managing the leads mentioned by David just now? Yeah. So do you think the existing Malaysian SMEs mindset are they ready? Because now we're talking about the new norm, right? Yeah, it's totally changed now. Yeah, it's no longer the old norm that we are focusing on now. It's a new norm of doing business, especially on the digital platforms. Yeah. So what is your take on this, Dr. Robert Bong? Perhaps do you think the
Now,
Malaysian mindset are ready for this change?
when you say, do you think Malaysian mindset is ready for this change? I think the Malaysian mindset can change. Anybody can change their mindset. You just need to nudge them because they need to be guided what to change and how to change. That is the
Mm,
issue. Whether ready to change, I'm quite sure everybody is ready to change because it's painful now. When the times are painful, it's very easy to change. The question now is that change to what and how to change.
okay.
So that's why I was sharing the idea about. I say that while it is important to look at marketing, while it is important to come up with 90 days or 1 year marketing plan, while it is important to boost up marketing, but before you boost up the marketing, you need to understand today there is a complete change of the needs from the consumer or the customer. So we need to understand the needs, how the need has changed. Some of them are voluntarily changed, some of them by enforcement, like for example, the lockdown. The lockdown changed the need from a on-site needs to a offline to an online need. So the question is not about everybody is able to change. You need people to guide you to change. Mindset changing is not natural.
Right. So yeah, so it's not really natural, right? It really depends on the individual. But probably like what Dr. Robert Bong has explained just now, normally in nature, naturally, when we are forced, or to face a certain situation, you will adapt to it, right? By changing yourself. Your one of it is your mentality, lah. Yeah. So we also have another question here. Hi, I see the importance of the SME to change mindset, but this requires support from employee. In this uncertainty environment, how will the management get the employee to change as they are demotivated due to the change to this situation? basically. So I think the question is really talking about how management can ascertain that the employees are, being motivated again and able to adapt to these kind of changes. Yeah, because everything is so negative. Yeah, whether the economy is negative, the health is negative, the environment is negative. Yeah. So how do you think in terms of the management can play a role? Yeah, in changing the employees' mindset.
So let me help answer this question. First and foremost, to say a lot of people assume that during coronavirus everything is negative. Actually, it's not true. Coronavirus doesn't change the need. In fact, increases the need of daily life. We still need to eat. In fact, we need to find our food differently now. It's only the wants, people who have a lot of wants, those can wait. Okay, I want to travel to Eskimo to go to North Pole, South Pole. I can wait, but I need to eat every day. I need to have food. I need to travel to do certain errands. I need that. So if we focus on the need, which is now different needs. So if you look at the needs are different, you see your business model from a product, from the service, from delivery side. How can you innovate this to go for the need? In fact, there is more businesses to be had. Seriously, more businesses to be had. A lot of company like logistic company, they cannot cope with they have 300 to 500% increase in their business. Now, let's understand basic principle first. Second is that during the coronavirus, everything is cheap. You know the oil prices is how cheap the oil prices now? It's below $10 per barrel. Now, you can understand that today everything is cheap, but the needs has not changed. You just have to be innovative to do that. That's point number one. Point number two, motivation. Motivation is a very contagious process, okay? The first thing is that does the business owner see the opportunity or not? Does the owner see the opportunity and be able to translate the opportunity and share the opportunity with the employee now? If the owner can do so, it gives a lot of hope and motivation to the rest of the employee. Point number three, when it comes to motivating the employee, it is a daily affair, has nothing to do with coronavirus. With or without coronavirus, as a business owner, we want our employee to be motivated. We want to engage our employee. We want to make sure that they are part of the decisions if they wish to be part of the decision. If they don't want to be part of the decision, they wish to be led. They wish to be led with transparency. So this process is actually a normal process. But when during the coronavirus, when you come to mindset change, you just have to make use of them. It's not something that you only need them now. Okay, these are 3 points.
Right. Okay. We are almost timed here. Maybe we'll just take one more question. Yeah, for David, perhaps. Traditionally, SMEs are more concerned for immediate sales in digital marketing, so as to survive. Yeah, especially when we talk about conversion, right? The money that you spend on your digital marketing itself. Should the SMEs go for a long-term strategy of managing the leads immediately?
Okay. Talking about leads itself, I think typically a lot of SMEs are just doing a lot of promotions. They hardly do branding. And I think one of the quickest way to get sales leads is going to Google Ads,
Right.
because Google Ads basically matches the demand and matches your supply. Yeah, and so if you look into Google Ads, you should be able to find that there is a strong demand. And as what Dr. Bong was mentioned just now, we got to look it from the customer, the consumer's demand. And Google Analytics allows us to find out what kind of level of demand you have for your product and services. Yeah. So the thing is that I think we should focus, whilst you should focus on your sales, you need to do branding, right? And you need to do branding. And one of the fastest way for you to do your 90 days marketing plan, short term, is going into Google Ads.
Okay. So thank you very much, for all your questions and feedback earlier on. If you have any question that we were not able to address, I'm very sorry for that, as we have running short of time now. So let me just conclude the whole session for today. Okay, so today we have been covering the areas of SME survival kits, on the three areas on mindset and your business model, as well as marketing strategies. Okay, so these are just the credits to the sources used in this session here today. And the next session that we're going to have is on these digital story strategies, okay, which is next 2 days on the 23rd of April from 3:30 to 4:30. So those who have more interest into digital marketing, how do you want to craft your digital messaging better and clearer, there will be a good chance for you to talk to two of our different panelists here, which is Mr. Prashan Kumar, the founder and senior partner of Entropia, as well as Mr. Xavier Ma, the founder of Xavier Ma Consultancy and XALF. Yeah. So register yourself to join us the next session on the 23rd of April from 3:30 p.m. Okay. If you have any further questions, you can always send us your questions through our email here, inquiry at uowmkdu.edu.my. You can address it to me. I'm Dr. Brian from the UOW Malaysia KDU School of Business. Okay, and do follow us in our Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube channel of UOW KDU. Yeah, or you can WhatsApp us as well on those WhatsApp number there. Okay. So again, thank you very much, Dr. Bong and David, for your time this morning to share your thoughts and your expertise with our participants for today. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you. Thank you
Yeah,
for your invitation.
yeah. Everyone stay safe, stay positive, and be motivated. See you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.